Hey YouTube, this is Joseph speaking. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for tuning in. Today, in this video, we're going to feature how we use the GROUDON theme deck during the tournaments online against the Kyogre theme deck. So to start, we're going to put the Tympole as our active. That's our only basic Pokemon in our hand right now, as we wait for our opponent to choose theirs. So one of the key features of the Kyogre deck basically has the stage 2 Empoleon with 160 HP on it, and it has the attack called Recall, and it can be very powerful, especially the Piplup and the Prinplup, the second stage 1 evolution of Piplup and Empoleon. It basically negates the active Pokemon from attacking, especially if it's a basic Pokemon. So it has a lot of potential. It's a good theme deck as well to use, but I feel, in my opinion, the Groudon theme deck still has the upper hand, as you'll see in this game. Okay, so they're gonna call the Theon and the Apom. We're gonna go ahead and use How. So you get 3 cards in our hand, and of course we wanna set up so that let's use the Pokemon communication and just use Palpitoad to evolve our Tympole and cause some damage on our opponent's active Pokemon. So there is nothing right now that can KO our Palpitoad, so I'm not too worried. We do need to find another basic Pokemon just in case. Of course, we don't want our lone Pokemon to be KO'd right away because we're gonna lose this game. So even though they do evolve their Golduck, it still needs energy, but also it only does 80 damage, so we're not too worried about that. So they are able to evolve the Piplup there. And they're gonna put 1 energy on the Prinplup. So they do get another Piplup on their bench. So now we're just gonna put another energy on Palpitoad. So if we do evolve it to Seismitoad, we could attack with 80 damage. And also it increases the damage depending on how many Pokemon we have in our bench that has damage counters on it. So we need to worry about our opponent evolving their Pokemon into Empoleon, because it can attack our benched Pokemon using that recall. So we do need to find that mute. We went ahead and KO'd our opponent's active Pokemon, and they're gonna present their Prinplup to the active. So they can, if they do evolve that Prinplup into Empoleon, they would be able to KO our benched Pokemon by just using 1 energy, but they will discard all of that. Okay, so they are gonna use the Fion to switch our Pokemon, and it depends on our opponent which one they're gonna attack. Okay, so they do use the direct dive It does KO our Palpitoad. So again, we need to worry about getting another, and we have exactly the Pokemon we need. Prevents any of our bench Pokemon from getting attacked. So we are gonna use Spike Draw. That will deal 20 damage on our opponent's Empoleon. But they will still need to re-energize. They can use the recall attack again and be able to use Prinplup's attack, but it shouldn't KO our Passimian. So that's one of the things that the Kyogre deck is good at, is sniping the bench Pokemon. And against the Charizard deck, Empoleon has the advantage if it's fast enough, because it can basically snipe a lot of the bench Pokemon as the Charizard deck sets up. So they are trying I don't think they understand the concept of the Mew there. So they did the direct dive, so that does put them at a disadvantage, because when they could have damaged our Passimian, they didn't. So we will use our Thraw, or get Thraw, 2 of them. It should be enough to deal with a lot of their Pokemon. Their Ambipom, if they do evolve it, is weak against fighting types, so we're not worried about that. And a lot of the other Pokemon that they do have is about 120. Kyogre has 130, so that will take about 2 hits from the other Pokemon, except for if we have Groudon, our Groudon fully energized, we could one-hit KO it. Empoleon is the only one that is the tough contender here with 160 HP, but since we did chip damage using Passimian, we can use the Thraw to KO it, especially with Passimian. Even if he attacks it, he's not going to be able to KO it, so we can just retreat it with just 1 retreat energy. We can put the Thraw in our active and be able to KO that Empoleon. So since that, in my opinion, that's the toughest Pokemon that the Kyogre theme deck has against our Groudon deck. So with that, we can use Thraw's attack to KO their Empoleon. So that will give us another price. We're gonna put the Golduck in front. The bad thing about the Golduck is that it only does 80 damage, and you have to discard or put one of the energy back in your hand. Now if you do play the Kyogre deck, if you have the draw energy, you can keep drawing as you keep putting that energy back, but that puts you at a disadvantage, because while you keep attaching energy on Golduck, that prevents you from attaching energy from your other bench Pokemon. So again, that's the disadvantage of that deck. That's why it makes it a little harder to use Golduck when it's in the active, but it does its job. In most cases, it will KO a lot of the basic Pokemon that we do have. So we're just gonna put another energy on Thraw, and we're gonna thin out our deck by using Lady. Get 4 more energy in our hand, and we should be able to KO the Golduck. Take another prize. So with that Mew in the bench, basically that's the key to this, to winning against the Kyogre deck if you're using the Groudon. Mew is the key. Empoleon won't be able to do much. If it has 2 energy, it can do 130 damage, so it will be able to KO our Thraw. But again, the downside is that Empoleon discards the energy if he does attack for 130. The only thing where it doesn't discard is if you use that recall and use the one where it attacks for 80. So bubble hold. See, it retains that energy, but that's the thing. It doesn't do enough energy where it's gonna cause major hits on against the opponent. So at this point, they were able to KO our Thraw. We won't be able to put Thraw in the front because if they attach another energy, they could just KO it. We will be able to chip damage if we do attack with Thraw, but I'm gonna go ahead and sacrifice Groudon, use Drought. Although I should have put that on another Pokemon really, because again they can use the Aqua Fall and be able to KO our Groudon. But again, that puts them at a disadvantage because it will leave them, even if they do KO our Groudon, it will leave them defenseless. They can use, they can attach one energy, but all it's gonna do is do 80 damage on our Thraw if they use the recall attack. But they will need 2 energy to KO our Thraw. So what we're gonna do is just attach another energy on Thraw so that we can do 120 damage on their Empoleon. So that was a bit of a miscalculation on my part. I should have used Groudon and just used Drought on possibly that Gabite just before it evolves into Garchomp. We could have just readied it for the future, but either way, any of the active Pokemon at that point would have been KO'd. So at least there's a little consistency on Thraw. It should be able to attack a few times without having to worry about any waiting time, because as you know, Groudon, after he attacks with that one attack, he can't attack the next turn. But that gives us time. We're just gonna attach another energy on, attach one energy on Garchomp, and since he used that attack where basic Pokemon can't attack, I had to switch Thraw back into Passimian and retreat Passimian back to the bench to put Thraw back into the active. That will disable the effect of the attack of Empoleon. So that enabled us to attack at that turn even though we're basic Pokemon. So that's the key. Sometimes with Pokemon like that disables your attacks during that turn, you can always just switch back, retreat the other Pokemon, and then go back to the active. So the same thing with Groudon. Once you attack the Trembling Ground, you can just use a switch, retreat back the other Pokemon, and you should be able to attack that turn. So there's a way around it so that you can continue to attack, but it can get costly if you have to attach another energy on one of your other Pokemon. So the best Pokemon to use for that are the ones that has no retreat cost, like Garchomp. But also we have the Groudon deck has a lot of Pokemon that has a 1 energy retreat cost. So that puts us at an advantage again against the Kyogre deck. So we're gonna go ahead and use the Bug Catcher here so that we can get more in our hand. So there is no way we can one-hit KO that Kyogre because in some cases, if the opponent is ahead in price card, you can use the Garchomp to with the increased damage, because if we are behind on price cards, it increases its attack by 80. But in this case, we are ahead in price cards, so it's not gonna do any good. So they are gonna use Apom. It is fully energized, so it can use they attack, it will deal 120 damage, but they have to discard 2 from their hand, and that should KO our Thraw. But since it is weak against fighting type Pokemon, we should be able to use Garchomp to KO it even without discarding an extra energy. So they will take that prize, but we will just put our Garchomp in the active, and we're gonna go ahead and KO that Ambipom. So I'm just gonna energize Mew because we can always just snipe that Kyogre in their bench. It just needs 1 more damage on it for us to KO it, so we're just gonna prep it. But for now, we are guaranteed 1 prize card in this turn. So whatever they do in their next turn doesn't matter, even if they are able to KO our Garchomp, which they won't. In any case, we should be able to KO that Kyogre using the Mew, but we can always just use Garchomp, discard an energy, and do 120 damage on this Golduck and be able to KO it. So they are going to use Fion to disrupt us. We have Tate and Lisa to just switch it back into our bench, so that we can just use our next turn to win regardless of what our opponent does. So normally, if we don't have any switch cards, we will have to wait for this Palpitoad to be KO'd or until we put another energy on it. So what we're gonna do is just switch it back, and I'm just gonna use Garchomp to KO this Golduck so that we can win this game. So there you have it. We do get this victory. Again, the key to this deck is Mew against that Empoleon attack. That's the one that basically that will cause you problem. So use that to your advantage and just anticipate a lot of their moves. So again, in my opinion, the Groudon deck is at an advantage against the Kyogre deck. Alright, so that's it for the episode today. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one. As always, keep safe and have a great day.